Hey guys, this is Thomas over here at NurseMoneyTalk.com, and in this video what I want to do is I want to talk about what I think is one of the hardest parts of nursing school. I'm not talking about studying. I'm not even talking about the hard questions on the exam, that require these critical thinking skills and whatnot. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about staying motivated in nursing school. That to me, I think, is one of the single most difficult and challenging parts of nursing school. Before I get into that though, if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on this channel. I talk about all things related to nursing school, and of course, nurse life. Real quick, I want to go ahead and give a quick plug in for the Nursing Student Academy. It is a supplemental platform that will help kind of fill in the gaps between your lectures and textbooks. I think it's a great learning platform. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go ahead and check it out by going to NurseMoneyTalk.com/Nursing Student Academy. You'll see the link on the screen and in the descriptions below. Let's go ahead and get started. One of the things that I think you have to really think about when it comes to getting motivated and staying motivated in nursing school, especially, and I think about it this way. So I was like a traditional a traditional nursing student, or a traditional college student, if you will. So I was fairly young, single, no kids, and all that jazz. And so because of that, I saw a lot of my peers and whatnot who were majoring in other degrees. Won't name any degrees or whatnot, but I think you can imagine what I'm talking about. And so I remember that they had so much more free time than I did. It's like I'm going through studying nonstop. I'm doing all this studying, right? On the weekdays, weeknights, like evenings and evening nights or whatever. And there were some exams where I'm just barely struggling through, and for a lot of them, they're barely studying and making these straight A's. I look back on it and I remember that one of the things that just kept me going, that just kept me moving forward, even in the midst of seeing all my, my peers and friends or whatnot, just having this quote unquote normal college experience, and I was struggling through, is that I remembered why. I remembered why I was wanting to be a nurse. I remembered why I wanted to go to nursing school. And I think that's what you need to keep in mind, is that as you're going through and as you're kind of struggling through school, and it's a long, in the grand scheme of things, it's only really 4 years. If you're going your BSN, it's 4 years. But those 4 years are going to feel like an eternity. And so that's what I would try to encourage you, is to remember, why is it that you want to be a nurse? Is it your passion to help people? Is it because, that's what you've always wanted to do? Is it because you want a job that has a lot of stability, that gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of options, that makes a pretty good income, as you're going to watch a lot of your classmates in a lot of these degrees who they'll come out and struggle to make a good living, and you'll be okay. You won't be rich, but you won't really be struggling either. And so that's what you have to think about. The second thing I would challenge you is to help you stay motivated, is to honestly celebrate the little wins. So this could be even just the win itself of getting into nursing school, where so many others are going to fail. Celebrate that. Whether it's, you get your first IV stick, your first Foley, your first whatever the case may be, I would encourage you to try to celebrate and hype up the small wins, because through that journey of nursing school, you're going to get beat down by by a lot of what I would call a lot of losses, a lot of struggles. You know, maybe you didn't do so hot on that first med-surg exam, but hey, you got that IV stick on that patient in clinicals with the first try, or you were able to do the entire Foley on that patient in the med-surg clinical without any issues. And so those are the things that I would encourage you, is that as nursing school is trying to beat you down, I would try to hype yourself up with just focusing on those small wins. The next thing I would encourage you to do is to learn how to set goals, not just any goals, but learn how to set SMART goals. So for instance, you might have an exam coming up that's over chapter 2 or whatever. So instead of looking at that entire chapter 2 and thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, like this is a lot, and then feeling overwhelmed, I would encourage you, set smaller goals. Set like, so for these next couple of days or for this week, I'm going to focus on this section. Then I'm going to focus on this section next. Then I'm going to focus on this one and then this one. I think by setting those smaller goals, I think it will help you stay motivated, because the key thing is like you'll be able to set them, and you'll be able to kind of have like smaller chunks that you can easier digest, as opposed to like these huge, massive, lessons or whatever that honestly, it's gonna feel overwhelming, because it is a lot. It honestly really is and can be a lot. The next thing I would encourage you to do is to find a support system. Now, this support system could be just about anything. It could be friends, it could be families, it could be relatives, or whatever the case may be. But the one that I'm focusing on, because all of those are good support systems, but there's two that I'm going to focus on. The one is going to be looking at hopefully finding support systems from your peers. So these are your classmates that are going through nursing school with you. These are the ones who maybe they're in the class below you, maybe they're in the same class as you, or maybe they're in the class ahead. Because I think when you have a group of people who are going through the same things, I think there's some comfort that comes in knowing I am not alone in this struggle. There are other people who are struggling just as much as I am. And the thing is that you're going to see other people who are struggling more than you are. So while you can potentially be comforted by other students, some of which, if you make friends with those who are ahead of you, right, who are in the class above you, because they've been there, they've done it, they can help you kind of show and guide you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can also potentially help guide and lessen the burden of the nursing students who are like below you in terms of class, like in terms of years. I remember the phrase, and I know I've used this a lot on this channel, that misery loves company. And it sounds very cliche, but I think there's a lot of truth to that. There is something comforting in sitting around and whining and complaining about a professor, whining and complaining about an exam that you think was unfair, poorly written, whatever the case may be, to other people who know what it felt like. So you're all complaining together, and then you go grab something to eat and then move on to the next exam. There is something comforting about it. The second part about seeking a support system that I would encourage you is that there's a lot of stresses that comes with being in nursing school. And so you could potentially find yourself at a point where the stress is really high and the anxiety, potentially depression, sets in. And so you need to know, when do I need professional help? When do I need to tag in a professional that can help kind of guide me in this journey? And so that is something that I would encourage you to definitely have a conversation with a primary care physician, You can also go to nursemoneytalk.com/online therapy if you are looking for a therapist you can talk to. But I would just encourage you, like, try. The main thing though with this is to try not to go through nursing school like in a vacuum. Try not to, if possible, try not to isolate yourself, because it makes the journey all that much more difficult. The last thing I think that will help you in terms of staying motivated is that you need to remember that success is not linear, in the sense of, like, it's not just going to be a bunch of wins. There's going to be some failures as well. There is definitely going to be some failures. You're going to have, it could be potentially bad patients, or potentially bad clinical that doesn't go well. You could not even do well on an exam. Heck, you could even potentially fail a semester and have to repeat a semester. Success is not linear. You just need to remember that those failures that you had, that you can learn from them, and those failures do not define who you are. You just have to learn from them and keep moving forward. Because, the thing is, and I think this is something that's hard for a lot of nursing students, especially if they fail an exam or something like that, is that you potentially fall into the trap of thinking that I'm going to be a bad nurse because you failed one exam or something like that. No. That, failing one exam does not make you a bad nurse. An exam is what it is. Just learn from it and keep moving forward, because I promise you, I've met a lot of nurses. I've worked with a lot of excellent nurses who, if you looked at their grades in nursing school, if they talked to you about how well they did in nursing school, you'd be pretty surprised.